Hello and welcome to our first Jazz Tales for 2021. Thanks for being with us this evening, folks. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season and that 2021 is off to a great start. I know it's off to a great start for me because I get to play with a wonderful musician, a beautiful spirit, and a guy I can call my friend. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest for this evening. Pepe started his music career playing the electric bass in his late teens and formed one of the first integrated bands in the Washington, D.C. area. That band, Zapata, opened for many great artists including Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock, Ramsey Lewis, Weather Report, Rahsaan Roland Kirk, Sly and the Family Stone, and the Isley Brothers. Zapata became one of the top bands in the Mid-Atlantic region and got great acclaim from the media and audiences alike. In his early 20s, Pepe became inspired by the virtuoso sounds of bassists Paul Chambers and Charles Mingus, and for the past 35 years has studied the jazz idiom as well as African-influenced styles, all the while maintaining a career in classical music. Pepe has performed locally with Maria Rodriguez and her Latin Jazz Orchestra, the Smithsonian Institute for Tito Puente, and was featured with his own Latin jazz band, Sonora del Barrio, at the Kennedy Center. Here's just a small example of Pepe's versatility. He has performed Dave Brubeck's Pange Lingua variations at the Kennedy Center and Schubert's Trout at the Corcoran Art Gallery. Wow. He had the pleasure of performing and recording with many national and international icons such as Pepper Adams, Clifford Jordan, Slide Hampton, Dave Valentine, Byron Morris, Hilton Ruiz, Jeannie Bryson, Sheila Jordan, Dorothy Donegan, Carter Jefferson, Clark Terry, Junior Cook, Delfeo Marcellus, and Horatio Acosta, to name just a few. He's performed for Presidents George Bush, Bill Clinton, and George W. Bush, as well as the United Nations President Kofi Annan and Vice President Al Gore. He's played at the International Association of Jazz Educators Conference, the Blue Note, and the Jazz Times Convention, and has performed in the Caribbean, in Spain, France, Greece, Italy, and the Soviet Union. Festivals have included the Curacao Jazz Festival, San Remo Festival, East Coast Jazz Festivals 2 through 10, the Syracuse, Atlanta, San Antonio, and Harrisburg Jazz Festivals, as well as the Cape May Festivals from 96 to 98 and again in 2000. He can be heard on over 30 recordings, and he recently recorded his first CD titled Looking Back with 9 original compositions dedicated to family, mentors, and heroes. He's an in-demand educator, and he's the assistant director of Paul Carr's Jazz Academy, as well as a clinician throughout the Mid-Atlantic region. It is my great pleasure to welcome the great Pepe Gonzalez for us tonight. Pepe, welcome.
Wow, all that, huh?
All that, and the thing is that I can remember coming back. I'm closing some things out here. Here we go. There we go. I can remember coming back numerous times from different places, and you're getting on or off a plane. So yeah, it's all true.
I remember at BWI we ran into
numerous times.
Yeah, we were coming from Europe, I think it was.
Yeah. Well, it's so wonderful having you here. We're going to get started with a great Victor Young standard called Stella by Starlight. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, Pepe. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Stella by Starlight. Victor Young. Wow. We say hi to people here. We got people that are always tune in and say hi. So
For those that don't know me, better, here I am. So
Like
you see me out in the street, say hello.
There you go.
There you go.
So we've got Lou and Janet up in Nutley, New Jersey. They say, Fred and Pepe, let's kick off 2021 Jazz Tales. Yes, we are. Netta and David Aragona, who are up in Montville, New Jersey. Good evening, Fred and Pepe. Ed Reffeld. Ed he's a photographer in the D.C. area and comes to Westminster a lot. So I know you probably have run into him a couple times at Westminster. Ed says, what a great way to kick off 2021. And Daryl Parsons, love that tune. Thank you. Daryl, welcome. I appreciate you joining us this evening. I think you're in the Easton area, if I saw that correctly. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. So, Pepe, next we have Jitterbug Waltz by Fats Waller.
Yeah, man.
Just one of those tunes that you enjoy playing, or?
Man, it's just the way it bounces, man. It's just the way it bounces. But then again, the cat who wrote it, you know, Fats Waller, man. What can you say about him? One of the early geniuses. And I think, from what I read, this is probably one of the first, if not the first, jazz waltz ever written.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
and it's done so many different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do it one way this time.
Yes, we are. Yeah. But I mean, even the way he recorded it, numerous times. One time is almost a ballad. Another time,
I saw him play it in the black and white movie from back in the 30s, I think it was, man. And it was like, yeah.
Right.
But I was too young. I mean, I wasn't living then, by the way. I was too young to really savor what was happening. And then, of course, when I heard it again 10, 15 years later, I said, oh.
There you go. Yeah, it's a fun tune to play. Jitterbug Waltz by Fats Waller. You count. 1, 2, 3. Great call. Great call. Yeah. We have Daryl says, yes, I'm in Easton. Oh, good. Thank you, Daryl. You guys, great to see you, Bob and Nina. Oh, Schwartz. Yes, Bob Schwartz. Good to see you, Bob. And yes, I figured it out.
Bob.
Thank you. Peter Kaufman. Oh, man, how great is this? Yes, I agree, Peter. Good to see you. Steve and Laurie, who are up in Easton, Pennsylvania, says, sounding wonderful. Well, thank you so much, folks. Next, we're going to do a tune by Bronislaw Kaper. I love saying that.
Yeah, Bronislaw Kaper. Yeah, it's a beautiful tune.
It is. Invitation. And I looked it up. 1950 film, A Life of Her Own.
Never heard of that one, man. That's
and apparently it wasn't really a success then. And then it was in a second film, and that's when it took off.
That's when it took off.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful tune.
It is
one of the greatest tunes I think written.
I agree.
You know, I mean, for that period, it was quite involved. Man.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So here is Bronislaw Kaper's Invitation. Pepe.
Freddie.
It's been too long, my friend.
I love you, bro.
Too long, man.
Wow.
You know, I got to be honest with you. I don't usually like playing that song.
You don't?
I don't. You know, it's one of those tunes that you play it so often in jam sessions, at least for me early in my career. Yeah, and I kind of got soured on it. So but that now makes me want to play it a lot more.
No,
so,
man, no.
Thank you.
I wouldn't have called it had I known that that's the way you felt.
Oh no! You make me like it again. So thank you. And playing with you, what can I say?
Man, you're too kind, brother.
So we get to the interview section right now. But before we do that, we have a few people saying some things. David and Netta up in Montville say, "Invitation was a great choice. What a treat to hear you playing together." I would agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Those of you know that I always ask this same question for the first person. And it ties into our mission of Jazz Alive, and that's to bring this music to audiences that don't get a chance to see it as often, and in particular, our young people. And you and I did some schoolwork together there a while back, and we talked often that if we don't get our young folks involved in this music,
we're going to lose it.
We're going to lose it, yeah. So I always ask, because we have several students watching tonight, thanks to some generous donors, and I always like to ask this question just so that if they're really serious about music, it's good to hear how we all got to this place. So what was that one or several things that made you go, I got to be a musician, and more importantly, I got to be a jazz musician?
Well,
Take it away.
Can I be quite candid?
Please.
I grew up in a very, very, very hard neighborhood. So either you ran home every day or you faced the foe every day.
Wow.
And in order to face the foe, you had to have a crew. And this crew, which was a street gang, there were some cats that played, some congas, bongos. I mean, we all grew up with a bongo and the conga. We knew all the Afro-Cuban stuff. But that was for us, it was like a party. It was never. But then there's some guitar players, and no one ever wanted to play a bass. So they kept on saying, "Yo, Babs, man, why don't you get yourself a bass, man?" I mean, bass? What? I didn't grow up with music. No one in my family was a musician. You heard people play, but I never was, and I don't think I ever came close to an instrument. Church piano once in a while, or the organ, but nothing really that captured me. So I went and I got an electric bass. Didn't even understand the science of music. But the cats would play a chord and I would slide and I go, "Hey, found one." And I would so everything was done by very basic grooves. We were really a groove-oriented type of band because that's all we could do. Until this Muslim brother turned me on. He said, "Man, y'all cats trying to be serious, man, but y'all ain't serious. Y'all got to hear the serious cats, man." Little did I know that. I thought he was talking about maybe, some of the pop players.
Sure.
One day he says, "Come by the store." He had a store where he sold oils and things like that. And he puts on Charlie Mingus. So I asked him, I said, "Moshish, what instrument is he playing?" He said, "The big bass, man. Not the little bass that you play, the big bass." And I go, "Man, I want to get me one of those." And he goes, "Man, you're already in your 20s, man. You can't get yourself, man, you're too little for that bass." No one says that to me because, I survived the street being a little cat. So about a month later, I actually bought an upright.
Wow.
And didn't know what to do with it. Until one of the ladies went downtown and she bought me a method. But I didn't know how to read. Until I met Lawrence Wheatley. So Lawrence he asked me to come over his house and bring my bass, so I did. I walked my bass over there and he says, "You know the blues?" And I go, "Nah." He named probably about 10 tunes. And I said, "No, I don't know anything. I came here to see if you could help me." So you know Lawrence.
Oh, I do.
Lawrence didn't say another word, and he played for about 3 hours nonstop. I was like this, never played a note, but I was soaked and wet all the way down into my pants, but being nervous. Well, lo and behold, he gives me the staff. He explains it to me. He says, this is the treble clef, but don't worry about it right now. This is the bass clef. I want you to go home and figure this out. And then he explained a little bit about the bass, the half position. So I kept on going every week back to him, and he goes, yeah, no, yeah. He would basically critique me, tear me apart. But he wasn't doing that maliciously. He was doing it to let me know, no, that doesn't work, man. You gotta think about it. And throughout the course of 2 years, I was the only cat out of, that Lawrence ran those
jam sessions.
Yeah. But and he always would pull his music out and hand it out, and then ask, he would get it all back at the end of the sessions. Well, I was the only cat that he ever let me take his bass, the bass clef charts home and work on him.
Wow.
His own handwritten, no copies.
Wow.
And he says, I'll leave that up to you. And so little by little, he started basically showing me about walking bass lines. He even showed me,
right,
with that Jimmy Garrison type of stuff. And then that's basically how it all started, man.
Wow.
And of course, Paul Chambers with Miles. When I heard Paul Chambers blowing, man, it just flipped me, man. And I didn't set out to be a jazz player. It just intrigued me.
Sure.
So I just wanted to be a little bit of that. I just wanted, see, I'm a product of a black neighborhood, so it's my way to give the black cats something back from their own history, man.
Wow.
And then, a few years went by until I met Maria Rodriguez.
So it just, you kept doing this, and you couldn't think of anything else.
Well, no, to me, I was in my early 20s, man.
Right.
I was like in heaven.
That's wonderful.
I used to be MF'd off stage, and people would tell me, throw sticks at me, man. What are you playing, boy, man? But I was tenacious, man. I just kept on going, man.
Wow. Well, hopefully we can talk about Lawrence a little bit in the next segment. But let's play a little bit again. Yeah. Wow, that's intriguing. I knew some of that from years of working with you, but I never knew all of that, man.
And there's more. He used to come by my house. He used to come by my house, at my apartment, every week to make sure that I was practicing.
Wow. Yeah, what a DC institution. Yeah, I would have loved to have him on Jazz Tales, just to be able to. I don't think we'd ever played. He'd just talk.
This cat would take the whole history.
Oh, I know.
From the classical, all the way.
Yeah. I don't think there's a musician that it plays of our era in DC that didn't somehow get their butt kicked by Lawrence. Yeah, man. Yeah. Wow. So what do we have next? Is The Preacher by Horace Silver.
Yeah.
Great tune. Great tune.
I got to take it to church.
There you go. You know, I think Horace, along with like Wayne Shorter, is one of the great American jazz composers.
Yes.
If you listen to his catalog is so wide-ranging in the styles of tunes that he wrote. It's amazing.
And never once leaves the blues.
That's true. Blues, church, all that.
Everything.
Yeah. It's all in there.
From the hard bop school, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, next we have one of your originals.
Oh. Haven't done that in a while.
The Color of Serenity. Is there a story behind this?
Yeah, man. Where is it? Color of Serenity was dedicated to Charlie Hayden. You know, Charlie was very serene type of cat, man. If you got to meet him, very soft-spoken. Mm-hmm. But his bass, his organic bass playing, man, just the simplistic approach, yet so genius.
Right.
And so heartfelt. All his, you know, things that he wrote were so beautiful, very simplistic, but yet complex.
Yes.
So that's how I got the Color of Serenity.
That's great. That's so wonderful story there. Yeah. Well, before we play this, we have several folks that have said some really nice things, and I think I'd like you to hear them. It's wonderful to hear the stories, Daryl says. And Ed Riffeld says, you guys are really tight tonight. I know how Pepe is fingering the bass. I love how Pepe is fingering the bass. Yes. And Isabel Bonilla, this sounds really great. Thank you so much for doing this. Isabella is up in Nutley, New Jersey. She's a high school student. We'll learn a little bit more about her shortly. But yeah,
all right.
Yeah, I love when
Thank you,
our
Isabella.
students. Yes. So here's The Color of Serenity by Pepe Gonzalez. You playing the intro?
No.
What an absolutely beautiful tune, Pepe.
You kind brother.
Man, yeah. You know, and you know, we didn't talk about it. You know, that's the beauty of doing this, is that, you know, guests come in here. We kind of talk through a show, and since we had never played it, and you gave it to me, we just played through it. But you didn't tell me the story, and it was a beautiful tune playing it. But once you told me the story, that was a whole different way of looking at the tune.
Right.
Yeah. And I can hear him playing. You know, just the way he can play such simple melodies, like you said. It's just a beautiful sound.
Yes.
Well, wow, great. Peter says, what a beautiful composition and a great tribute to Charlie Haden.
Thank you.
We have hip people watching the show. We really do.
All right. What is hip?
Yeah.
Tell me.
So this tune, I mean, I've heard it before. Mambo Influenciado.
Influenciado.
Right?
If you notice that the progression, when Chucho wrote this, the influenciado means influenced. A mambo or an influenced mambo. The progression is very similar to a lot of tunes that we know.
Sure.
You know, there's a little bit of summertime in there. There's a little bit of a bunch of things in there, man. So that's how he came about. And I had the pleasure of playing it with his son, Chuchito.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Wow. It's a great tune. I'd never played it before. I mean, I'd heard it on records, but I'd never played it. So thanks for bringing it in.
Yeah.
Chucho Valdez.
Chucho Valdez. You
Yes.
got to get a little bit of Cuban thing in here.
There we go. that's a fun tune. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that one in.
Yeah,
So the next section that we'd like to talk about here is mentors, is what I usually ask. But if you want to go in a different direction, it's up to you. But I did want to ask you about one last thing about. Did you play regularly with Lawrence, or it was just more of a teacher?
No, for a long time he would call me. He even hired me for some gigs when I could,
Yeah.
But Maria was the next one.
Okay. Good.
Maria Rodriguez, which a lot of people think of her as a Latin woman.
Right.
We basically looked at her and respected her like a Latin woman, but she was an African American woman by the name of Jean Marie Butler. She was one of the first black females, I think one of the first black people to ever get a master's from Oberlin.
Wow.
And she moved to D.C. and married Tito Rodriguez. So she took Marie and made it Maria Rodriguez. Tito Rodriguez, right? And they had a band. She had a band which was called Los Magníficos, Maria y sus Magníficos. What she did, man, she took a lot of the Latin and black kids from the neighborhood who were musically inclined or wanted to learn music, and she would literally bring us to her house and make us play her charts, and whatever we couldn't play, she would teach us. And she's the one that really taught me how to read those Latin charts and cut time.
Wow.
And she, she really for like she became like my mother, man. Because I lost my mother in my late 20s. But this time I was in my 30s, and we became so close, man, that it was just, Pepe, can you come and pick me up, Pepe? I said, yes, I can, Maria. And she was my confidant, man. Any problems that I had, I would talk to her. But the greatest thing is that she really instilled professionalism, dignity, honor, and taught all of us. And then the greatest thing, after the jam sessions at her place on Thursday nights, she would always have food for all of us. So she became a mentor till she died, and she died holding my hand.
Oh my. Wow.
She only wanted my wife and I and the nurse that was taking care of her in her house during her last days.
Wow. I met her once or twice through Ricky Loza.
Yes, we used to. Ricky, her, and I used to do a lot of Latin trio things together, man. Yeah.
He invited me when I first started playing with him, and that was the first time I met her.
Yeah, because you're in his CD, if I remember.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow, that's a wonderful story.
She was, she was a mother to everybody, man. I miss her dearly. There's not a day that I don't think about her practically, and I'm not exaggerating that.
Wow.
She meant a lot to all of us, man. And her and my wife were so. It was like mother and daughter.
Wow. Are there any recordings of that group?
Yes, but under the auspices of Paul Hawkins.
That's the story. I knew there was a story there.
Yeah, then
now I remember the whole thing. Yes.
Yeah, then Paul Hawkins called on her and called on all the other cats to come over. Julio Miranda. And the thing about it is that they were all dying, like one after another. It's like a domino effect, man. But we played. I got to play with all those senior cats for like 11 years, man. That's where I really got,
wow,
my Latin chops in order there.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Ed from DC says, what a beautiful story about Maria. Sounds like a wonderful mentor and human being.
She was, and she still is.
Yes. Right? Yeah. Right. Wow. What a wonderful story. Well, let's play some more.
Yeah.
You had next on the list a tune that, again, I play a lot of Antonio Carlos Jobim tunes, but this is one that has just never been in my wheelhouse.
But that's why I called it, because I just learned it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So
Okay.
far, this
Well,
is
I
a
did
good
too.
way. So that's a good way to. I gave you a copy, right?
Oh, O Grande Amor from.
O Grande Amor.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Great tune.
Greatest Love. It's called O Grande Amor.
Wow. Thank you so much for, man, that's a great tune. I'm glad that you occasionally somebody has called it on a gig and, and then I forget about it. And so now it's in my wheelhouse to learn it.
Not a lot of people play it though. It's not one of those that like all the other ones that they play from Jobim.
Right. No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. And quite honestly, because of the way it's laid out in a way, I wouldn't almost guess that it was Antonio Carlos Jobim. I might think like Louis Bonfa or somebody like that rather. Because it's not got some of his signature movements.
Especially the harmony, but the movement is a little,
Yeah. Well, Ed says, love this tune, perfect for sipping whiskey.
Hey, what's up, man?
Steve and Laurie up in Easton, Pennsylvania say, just amazing playing, Pepe. You guys sound fantastic.
Very kind, folks.
I'm so glad that you pulled out the bow there.
I was trying not to hit them.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful sound. And quite honestly, I just have to say this before we meet the students that are here this evening, that this is kind of this sentence there. This is for them, is to have heard your story, and you've given it to me off and on. We haven't played these together as much as I'd like. For a while we did, but it's been years. And our careers, went in different directions, but. To hear that story and how you just kept your head down and kept, it's great to have great teachers, but you're your best teacher. You really are.
Well, in a way, my tenacity.
Right, exactly. Well, so that in itself.
Yeah. I'm a hard-headed dude, bro.
That you are. And I love you for it, man. I do.
Thank you, brother.
So we're very fortunate to have great donors that make it possible for us to offer this show to students for free, thanks to the donors. And the first donor that we had this evening is Janet and Lou Russo up in Nutley, New Jersey, who sponsored Solana Villanueva, I guess it is, Nueva, maybe? I'm sorry, Solana, if I'm mispronouncing.
I can't read it, but...
Yeah, it's a little farther from you. She plays trumpet, bassoon, and double bass.
Oh, I'm scared already.
Nutley, New Jersey. She's in the High School Jazz Ensemble, Concert Band, and Marching Band. Thank you so much, Janet and Lou, for sponsoring Solana. And Isabella signed in and said something earlier. Isabella Bonilla. She plays trumpet, and she's from Nutley, New Jersey, in the High School Jazz Ensemble, Wind Ensemble, and Marching Band. And thanks to Sherry and John Zimmerman up in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, for sponsoring Isabella. Thank you so much, folks. You can find out more about our sponsorship offerings for Jazz Alive by visiting our website at jazz-alive.org. And I'd like to just say, before we go on and before I forget, because a lot of you folks that are listening are subscribers, and you might have gotten an email from me, and if you're not, I'm just letting you know now. We won't be 2 weeks from now, because our guest for the 27th is also a member of the United States Navy Band and the Commodores, to be exact, and he's got something that he's got to do with the Navy. So we pushed him to Wednesday, February 3rd. That'll be saxophonist and clarinetist and flute. He just plays, he's such a great musician.
Yeah, he's multi.
Bill Mulligan will be
with
us on February 3rd. And on 2 weeks from now, on the 27th of January, we're going to do a retrospective of all of the shows that we did in, well, not all of them, but I'm going to piece together bits and pieces of the best of. So stay tuned for what we're going to do with that. But we will have a show on the 27th, and it'll be a retrospective of what all we did with the 15 shows in 2020. Nice. Isabella says, thank you so much. You guys sound wonderful. Well, thank you, Isabella. Well, before we play a couple more tunes, Pepe, I'd like to, do you have any suggestions or words of wisdom for our young folks that are watching, either live now or in the future?
Well, I don't know about the wisdom, but just no matter what, just practice. Be truthful to the art. Be honest with yourself, and don't stop. Even if one does not become a professional musician, art is so much an integral part of who we are as a spiritual human being, or human beings, that is necessary. Arts are necessary for us to keep our humanity. So whether one becomes a professional or not, keep music always in your heart and always in your house.
There we go. Wow. You know, the next song is perfect for that too. I know that we talked about doing On a Misty Night, but I think Body and Soul would be perfect right now. Yeah. And Daryl says, what a pleasure to hear such sensitive playing together, bringing beauty to this difficult time. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you so much. So here's a tune by Johnny Green. It's a beautiful standard. I don't think anything else needs to be said. This is called Body and Soul. You know, no matter how many times I play that tune, it's just such a great tune. It's such a,
You can never get tired of that one, man.
Yeah. And never get tired. So we have time for one more. Is it going to be Tad Dameron's On a Misty Night or Charlie Parker's Opera Vile?
It's your call.
Well, I don't get to play On a Misty Night as often as I like. Yeah, I'd like to play that one. Here's a Tad Dameron composition.
What's the intro? The intro, let me see the intro.
Yes.
Yeah, Ethan. Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
On a Misty Night by Tad Dameron.
December in the ring.
Yeah. Pepe, it's been so a pleasure to have you
brother.
here.
Thank you.
This
Thank you for
evening.
having me over, man.
Thank you
man.
for sharing your story with us and talking to our students and all that. It's just been wonderful.
You're doing a great job here, brother.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we have David and Netta up in Montville, New Jersey say, awesome start to 2021. Thanks to both of you for the beautiful music and playing. Thank you, folks. We really appreciate it. Like I said, we won't be here in 2 weeks with Jazz Tales as we know it, but we will have a show that's going to talk about all that we've done. Stay tuned. If you're not on the mailing list, please go to jazz-alive.org and sign up on the mailing list so you know exactly what all is going on. And like I said, we've rescheduled, and Bill will be here on February 3rd, and then we'll be back on schedule. So thanks again for joining us. Pepe, thank you again.
Thank you.
And
thank you, folks.
We'll see you all soon. Thank you.